Hey folks, Dave here. I hope everybody's having a good day and doing well. So we need to make something else for Christmas, and I thought we would make an ornament that looks like a fireplace and put some stockings on it, put a fire in it, make some bricks. So let's give that a shot, see how it turns out. So we're going to stay in millimeters, go up and grab a square and just drag it out to a rectangle like so, and click your selector tool, and we're going to make that a width of 90 millimeters and a height of 115 like so. Be sure your lock is off when you select. Make sure the lock here is off, and then it'll change accordingly. So while we have this, let's go ahead and duplicate it, and then we will make our fireplace cutout. So while you have it selected, click radius and click these top two spots here. Then click your selector tool, then just resize it, and we'll make it let's make it a width of 36 and a height of 38 like so. There's our fireplace. So it will sit right here, and then we'll put a fire in it. So let's just pull it out of the way for now, and let's make some bricks. So grab a square. Now remember, I'm going to click this selector tool, so I want you to remember you can scroll in and out with your scroll wheel. You can push down on the scroll to move the entire canvas around. Okay, so grab a square and just draw out a small one, and then we hit your selector tool, and then we'll make this a width of 10 and a height of 5. Okay, so now we have a brick. So let's pull that down to the bottom, and let's get it over here inside. We're just doing this for measuring purposes, and then we'll move it back out. So select it inside, go over and select array. Make sure your spacing is set for 0, and then you can set your columns. Click and add bricks until you get to the end, or pretty close. That worked out pretty good. Okay, so now go in and grab all of these bricks like so, bring them out, and then right click and duplicate. And then you want to pull one out. Let me get this in a little closer. You want to pull it out and just offset it like so, by half. And none of this is grouped yet, so you can go to this last brick, select it, duplicate, and pull it to the other end like so. Then you can select on each side and then just resize it down to the other bricks like so. Now this can be grouped together, and we can go back to array. We're going to go on the Y rows now and make these go up. So make sure your spacing is 0, and then just start making bricks all the way up to the top. Just close is fine, because we can resize it. Actually, we'll take one back, so that's 11. And now we want to This is going to be a score. So now we want to make sure everything is ungrouped. We don't want anything grouped. Because we're going to take our fireplace piece here and we're going to center it. And then we're going to take a few bricks out. Okay, so we're setting this here, and then we're just going to select, let me get this in closer. We can center this. We can make sure it's centered if we group just this last stack of bricks here. You can group that, and you can grab your piece here, select it, shift, select your last set of bricks, and then you can center it like that. And then go back and ungroup that set of bricks so we can get rid of a few of them. Then you can just click inside here. You can pull them out or you can delete them. You can just stack them over here in a pile and then delete them all at one time. But you want to drag out these center bricks, get rid of them, and what's left on the outer edge we can resize. But we just want to get them out of the way. A little monotonous, but it is the only way I know to do it at this point. You can't use the subtract option to do this. I've tried, and it does not work. Okay, so now we have this. Let me get rid of one more here. Alright, so this whole stack of bricks we can just delete. And then you can grab these on the edge like that and just move them back to the line, something close, like so. Make them all neat, just like a brick mason would. Like I said, a little monotonous, but this is going to look pretty sweet in the end. So stick around. I think you will enjoy doing this one. And it'll look nice on your tree. Or wherever you might want to hang it up. And just do the same thing on the other side. Pull them back. Can't do it all at once, so you just have to kind of deal with the monotony of one at a time, which makes the video longer, but if we don't do it, then you won't know. Alright, almost there. Alright, so now this piece, I don't know what I've done. I'll click Control-Z to, here we go. Control-Z will take you back and help undo your mistakes. Alright, so we want to get this in the center. Over here, we're just going to, this will just end up being a score, but we want it to be centered, and it'll help outline the fireplace we just made. And you can get right on this line here, and you can tell the cursor changes, and then you can just snap it right to it. And then you can shift, select the outer edge, go up top, the vertical alignment, and it'll move it over for you. Okay, so let's grab all of this, right click and group, and let's pull it over here and see how it fits, and we can make a minor adjustment if we need to. It looks pretty good, so we can just stretch it up and I think that works fine. And then we'll put a fire in here. Matter of fact, we can do it now. So this is a free vector, and I'll put a link down in the description. So remember, when your vector opens, grab it from the corner because they're usually way too large, and then you can resize it proportionately. So what we are going to do is just get this to fit in here, and then we're going to cut it out and set it inside. Okay, that looks pretty good. So you can select it once you resize it, and then go over to offset shapes. I've got this set for 1 millimeter, should work fine. Then you can pull out your original shape, select this one, right click and ungroup, and then you can get rid of these little chunks of these pieces to get them out of there. It'll give you a much cleaner cut. So now we're going to set this as a score. We're going to put it inside. We're going to group it together. And then we'll cut it out separately, and then it'll just set inside. And that's going to look pretty good. So now, let's we need something to hang this from the tree or wherever we hang it. So select your bricks and pull those out. Just get them out of the way. And then we will put a bow on top. And again, this is another free vector which I will put in the description. And we're just going to take that bow, once I can grab it, and we're going to resize it, set it on top, and put a hole in it. This one's a little crooked, so just grab it at the corner, straighten it up some, bring it down, set it on top, and let's make the width about, set the lock on for this, and set the width at about 50 millimeters. With the lock on, it makes your item move proportionately. So you want to just get that setting as even as possible. Then shift, select your base, do a vertical alignment, and it'll put it where you need it. And then you can click weld. And there you go. It looks like a bow on top. Actually, we might can show more of the bow. I was just checking to make sure that wasn't grouped. So I'm going to Control Z and take this back to here and try to show a little bit more of the bow, like so. Then shift, select the base, do a vertical alignment, and then do a weld. And although we're taking these pieces out, so you select it, right click, ungroup, then you can get these pieces out. And if you wanted to work with leaving them in there, you could certainly do that. But this just gives us more of the bow up top to give it more of a bow look. And now we will grab a circle, push down the shift key, and just draw out a circle so you can put a hook or a string or something. And click your selector tool, make it a cut, and then just center it there. That looks pretty good. So now we need to make, so we're going to make a mantle board, an actual mantle board, and have it protruding off of the front of this. right here. And then the stockings will go right underneath. Okay, so grab a square. Let me get us a space to work here. Just drag down. Grab a square, pull it out, and just make it, it can be big to start with. We're going to resize it. It just needs to be big enough for the radius to work so we can round off the front two corners. So drag it out, click your selector tool, click radius, and then click these front two. And then click your selector tool. We know we want a width of 90 because it's going across here. So unlock your lock. Make your width 90. And then we'll make the height about 15. I think that's just over a half inch or so. And then we're just going to put this, set this in here. And then we're going to put some tabs on it. And we will leave room up top that we can write Merry Christmas 2023. Alright, so we have our mantle board in there. Now we need some tabs. So just draw out a tab, hit your selector tool, and just make it 10 millimeters. And we're going to use some 5 millimeter Luan hardwood plywood. So make it 5 for the height. Then we're going to duplicate that because we need 2 of them here. And it's not real important where they're at. We're just going to make sure they're the same and centered. So select one, then shift, select the other. You can right click and group them together. Then you can shift and select the main piece and then do a vertical alignment. And now we're going to try to select this, shift, select only the mantle board, and then click weld. And that did not work. So it didn't because I didn't snap it to it. But that's okay. We got Control Z. We can back up. Alright, so we are going to get close in. And we're going to let your cursor change like so. And then snap it. And hopefully it's snapped on both sides. But we got to center again. So you can shift, select your mantle board, click vertical alignment, then click weld, and only one of them went. So I don't know, we'll do it again. Back up with Control Z. It happens like this sometimes, folks, and you just have to stick with it. So we're going to ungroup these, and we're going to weld them one at a time. That should do it. Shift, select the mantle board, and weld. And then do the same thing here. Just let it snap, shift, select the mantle board, and then weld. It can get irritating sometimes, but you just have to stick with it. And it really doesn't matter where these are as long as we get the slots where they will line up. So go over and grab another square, and we've got to put these slots where these will fit in them. So just drag one out, click your selector tool, and then we need to make it a width of 10, and we're going to make it a height of 4.5. That way there's an adjustment for the kerf. So when this fits in, it'll fit tighter. And kerf is different. I mean, anybody that doesn't know, it's the amount of material that's removed beyond what you've specified. So we put in 4.5. It may take out 5 or more. But the hope is that you can learn it well enough that you can adjust it and get a snug fit between your tabs and your slots. So 4.5, that's what we'll go with. Now we're going to just line this up and we're going to snap it to this. We're not going to weld it. We're just going to snap it there. We're going to duplicate it. Bring it over here and do the same thing. And there's all sorts of ways to do tabs and slots, but for me it's easier if I get them lined up like this. Then I can select these two slots. I can shift and select the main background. Then I can right click and group. And I know those slots are going to stay where they're supposed to be, and then I can pull my other piece out and we are good to go. So okay, so we have our mantle board, we have our bricks, we have our fire. We need a Merry Christmas and some stockings. And before I forget, this piece here needs to be a score. Alright, so let's make some stockings. Alright, so I don't know how to make stockings, but we're going to try. We're going to take a square and we're going to drag it out, make it a cut. Just make sure it's large enough that your radius will work. So click your selector tool, then click radius, and if this don't work, we will make it bigger and do it again. And it did work. Okay, then click your selector tool, and then we're just going to make this small enough to look like a stocking, and then we can resize it as we go. You want to duplicate that. We're going to need 3 of them. And then we're just going to squeeze it and make it look as much like a stocking as we can. You can use your arrange to flip them around. And we're just going to try that. So here, shift, select your second one, and then click weld. And then we will put the furry little part on top here. And you can move these around and make them, it kind of looks like a stocking. We'll go with that. Shift and weld. That's a stocking. Okay, so I guess we need about 4 or 5 of these. So we're going to tilt it a little bit like it is hanging on the mantle board. We're going to go to array, and then we are going to click out until we have 5 of them. And you don't need any space in between them. We're actually going to make them stick to each other. So grab them and just bring them in enough that they touch or overlap one at a time, and then you can use the weld function and cut these all out in one piece. Like so. Okay, so we have stockings. Now we just need to resize those to the size of the mantle board. So you can bring them in and then just grab the corner and get them so they will fit right here underneath this mantle board that we're putting in. And that should be fine. So now, let's see, this thing, it may be big enough to put some names on it. We can put some short names on here. If you got long names, you'll have to put them on the bottom of the sock or somewhere else. So if you put names, so click your text tool. But if you put names, use a Academy Engraved, and it'll give you a better look. You can actually score without having to engrave. Save you some laser time. So let's just go all caps and go with Mom. And then just drag it over. We're going to make this a score. And then you can just drag it around. Let's make it fit on here. It's going to be kind of small, but it'll go. Okay, everybody's going to have 3 letters in their name. Alright, so let's duplicate that, bring it over. And we will just double click inside. And we have that. And then I guess they had a kid named Jan. Jan is their oldest child, I guess. And then we will do, after Jan, little Bob came along. And then, let's see, Bob needed a little brother, so Dan came along. Okay, and then you can grab that and group it together and hope it's not so small that it doesn't come out right. But that'll be cut separately. I know I keep moving the screen around too much, but there's a lot going on over here. Okay, so we have the fire. We can go ahead and put the bricks back where they go. And that is looking pretty good. And then this other line we put in there will just help line it up really good. So we'll cut this out. Now we need a Merry Christmas. So I'm going to put a Merry Christmas up here. So grab another square and just drag it out. And I guess make it, you don't have to do the radius on it, but we will just for practice. It's good to get used to doing these things like this, and it'll help you with so many other projects. There's a lot of similar things to do when you're doing projects. So click your selector tool. We're going to bring it over and make it fit in here, just above the mantle board. And we're just going to cut this out and glue it on. Okay, so that will be there, and we just need to get Merry Christmas 2023 written inside. I think we can make that happen. We won't make it quite that small, but let's do all caps. And we will put 2023 underneath, and then click your selector tool, and then you can make this as large as this will allow for. You can drag it out and make it like so, and then you can shift select the background, and then you can hit bullseye and it'll put it right in the center. Okay, so now we need to score that. And I think we have everything. I know that took a long time, but there's some things that we've done here that you'll be able to use with other projects, and I think you'll be glad you done it. So let me, like I said, we're going to cut this out on 5mm Luan hardwood plywood. And I will put a link in the description for where I picked that up at. And the last thing before we cut is look over to the right. Anytime you have a score, be sure to grab that score and move it above the cut line. Or you will cut first and then score, and it'll just make a mess, and you don't want that. Okay, let me get set up in the laser, and we will get this cut out and see what it looks like. Okay, folks, I'll be back shortly. Okay, folks, I believe we're ready to cut this out. Like I said, this is 5mm Luan plywood. It's usually used as an underlayment or for the back of cabinets. And I picked it up at Lowe's, and I'll put a link to that down in the description. Okay, here we go. Okay, so far so good, folks. Let me put this together, and we'll take a closer look at it. Okay, well, here is our final project. It turned out pretty good. Everything doesn't turn out this good on the laser on the first try, but this one seems to have turned out exactly as planned, which is a little scary, but it looks good. So if you folks give this a try and you have any issues with it, just drop me a note down in the comments, and I'm glad to help out in any way I can. Same for any general laser questions that I can help with, just let me know. So I'll drop links for the vectors down in the description, as well as a link for this wood. And it's a good wood for project material. I think you'll enjoy working with it. So hopefully I can get a couple of more videos done before Christmas. At least that's the plan. So be sure to check back. And y'all take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.